Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Right Call. My name is Cole Altman, and I am here with our two esteemed guests, Mark Altman and Timothy Ferry. How are you both?
Doing good, doing good.
Freaking phenomenal.
Freaking phenomenal is the two words I would use just to describe our mood today. We've had quite the busy last 12 hours, 24 hours actually, and I want you to walk us through what you were first feeling when you saw that Derek White got that shot off with 0.1 seconds to go.
Well, Cole, I just got to say, when Jimmy Butler hit those 3 free throws, like the first thought went through my mind is, here are the Celtics choking away another lead, another game. I mean, they've done it so many times. They don't know how to close out big games, and they certainly don't know how to win games when their three-pointing shooting is 20% and horrendous. I had given up. I'll be honest. I'm not going to lie. Tim, what about you? I had given up.
Yeah, I didn't really think anything was going to go on there. I thought the game was over after that.
Yep.
I mean, you have those 3 free throws, and I want to give props to Joe Mazzulla because we were talking earlier how if he hadn't challenged that, there would have been 2.1 seconds to go, and that Derek White shot would have never happened, and it would have just been Marcus Smart in and out. The season's over. So that's huge plus on Mazzulla's side. Nothing else you can say. And I think it's important that people recognize, although Mazzulla has his faults, I think he just saved our season. And so I think it's important to recognize that.
Well, I think, Cole, there was a few things in that game he did that were, I mean, we talked about when Jaylen Brown got in foul trouble in the third quarter and it left with 4 fouls, he brought him in with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter when the offense was pretty stagnant. And we were worried, wow, that's a gutsy call, but Brown hit some big baskets. And I thought, you know, Mazzulla's coaching overall in that game, I thought was really good. My only nitpick on Mazzulla, Tim, I don't know your thoughts on this, is his reluctance to play either Sam Hauser
for 3
or Peyton Pritchard in Brogdon's absence. That was my only frustration. But otherwise, I thought Mazzulla coached a really good game.
Yeah, I think Joe Mazzulla, like the past, everybody wants him to call more timeouts in like crucial situations. But I feel like other than that, other than playing Grant Williams a little too much, I feel like he's been a good coach throughout the year and the playoffs. And I know a lot of people are bashing him lately for the timeout situation. But I feel like the Celtics are doing good with him, and they should stick with him.
Tim, does it baffle you how much Cole rags on Malcolm Brogdon after being 6th man of the year? And I wore this shirt specifically in honor of Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, talk about a lack of respect. The guy has a torn tendon in his arm, for God's sakes. You wonder why he can't hit a basket. Cole, would you like to explain to our audience your bashing of Malcolm Brogdon, please?
You know, it actually has nothing to do with this series. I think he hasn't been great in the series, and that whatever, it's probably due to the torn tendon in his arm, which, of course, I understand that's a significant.
Do you? Are you just saying that?
No, I understand it. It's a significant injury in your shooting arm. Like, what are you going to do? But I don't think his shot selection has been good all year. I think he's been a good shooter all year.
Do you think he paid off the league to get 6th man of the year? Do you think he
pulled
the wool over everybody's eyes? Like what
First of all, Emmanuel Quickley should have gotten 6th man of the year. I'm sorry, Malcolm, but he should have. It would have been the right decision.
That's one of the great names in the NBA, isn't it?
Emmanuel Quickley.
Yeah, that's a pretty good name.
But I just don't feel like he takes good shots. He turns the ball over quite a bit, actually. And I'm not the biggest Malcolm Brogdon fan. That said, he did have a pretty solid regular season, so I can't take it.
Emmanuel or Emmanuel?
Emmanuel.
And what team is Emmanuel quickly on?
The New York Knickerbockers.
And they're not playing anymore, though, right?
They are not.
Bye, Knicks.
What? The Celtics are playing in spite of Malcolm Brogdon. He has done negative. He has 2 points in the last 3 games.
I thought you just forgave him for his torn tendon.
I did.
Tim, could you add some wisdom on Malcolm Brogdon?
He's a bum.
Please?
The guy's a bum.
So I want to say Malcolm Brogdon, I feel like you are like in love with the guy kind of way.
Yeah.
I feel like you only see one side to a story. I feel like when we went to the game, it was I forget what game it was, but if you looked up on the scoreboard, it said Malcolm Brogdon. It had like 10 points, but he's
the 6th man. He's not going to have more than 12, 13 points a game, right?
But everything else on that board was 0. Like he didn't have any other stat.
I do remember that.
So I feel like he scores sometimes when he doesn't have a torn tendon, but like I feel like he doesn't impact the game in other ways most of the time.
Well, I will say this, not to spend too much time on Malcolm Brogdon. I will say this.
Yeah, let's
He's a floor general, though. He is a poised guard that really manages the offense. So, yeah, he doesn't contribute a ton in other areas. But let's talk about D. White. Can we talk about D. White for a minute?
You know, we're all proud. We're all really happy with his performance. I mean, he has been the one constant the Celtics have had throughout the playoffs on offense. And I don't see why people don't give him the respect he deserves. I mean, he's much better than Marcus Smart. I'm sorry, Marcus, but he is.
Because his hairline.
Yeah, his hairline is pretty atrocious.
Hey, let's leave hairlines out of this podcast.
Wait, no.
Come
Listen,
on.
Your hair.
Come on.
You don't have much hair, but you have a good hairline.
I'm wearing my hat to disguise my hairline.
Yeah.
But Derek
I
White,
don't know.
Derek White's hairline has like the length of like a pool, like the depth of a pool, like at the kiddie pool. That is the size of his.
I just will say that I think it's a little unfair. Like Marcus Smart was huge yesterday. Marcus Smart in Game 7 against the Sixers was big. Marcus Smart's had some big playoffs.
Marcus Smart has.
Like
He's been great.
He's been a glue guy. He takes bad shots at times, but he's been a glue guy for them.
Well, when I say White's better than Smart, that doesn't really take anything away from Smart. I'm just saying that Derek White has been a star for the Celtics recently. His 3-point shooting's been through the roof. Tim, what do you think? Like on the Smart versus Brogdon versus White.
Is not an answer.
I feel like Marcus Smart, in my opinion, is the most important out of all three of those guys. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Marcus is inconsistent, but at the same time, when he's there, that really helps us. Like, we need that third guy, and we don't really have that. Like, Brogdon will give you 12. White will give you, like, 9 to 12. Like, there's not going to be anything that can get you, like, 20 or something like that in a game-time situation.
Well, I think Tim's right for the simple reason that Marcus Smart's energy is so contagious. I mean, remember in Game 5?
He's not really taking as many charges as he did last year, though.
He hasn't. But remember in Game 5, first play of the game, he dove on the floor and set the tone?
I do.
Like, Marcus Smart's, like, sets the tone for the effort level, I think, of the team at times.
I mean, that's a pretty smart take.
So let's talk about Game 7. All right. You know, most people think it's a pretty foregone conclusion. That was a good one. Most people think it's a foregone conclusion the Celtics win. If Miami is to win in Game 7, what needs to happen, Tim? No, seriously, who needs to step forward for Miami besides Jimmy Butler, obviously? But, like, who's going to be the guy that's going to also contribute to help Miami win?
I feel like the only games the Celtics have struggled against the Heat are when Bam Adebayo plays with intensity and drives to the hoop. When he is driving to the hoop, dunking, playing defense, when he's impactful on the game, I don't think the Celtics, like, it's going to be tough for them to really guard that. Like, we have Rob Williams, but at the same time, when Bam's dropping 25 and you have all those other guys that are getting 10, 15, there's nothing you can really do about that. So I feel like if Bam plays well Game 7, I feel like the Celtics are going to struggle.
Cole?
I think it's honestly finding a way to stop Caleb Barton. I think if Caleb Barton has another 20 to 25 point game, the Celtics may struggle and they may lose. I think it's important to recognize, like you said, Tim, Adebayo's impact on the game. Whenever he has a great game, the Heat win. And if assuming Butler returns back to his 25 to 30 point status, there's no reason why the Heat can't win the game. I would highly bet on the Celtics, but I think that the Celtics have some work to do on the defensive end if they want to go to the NBA Finals.
I think the two key players for the Celtics in Game 7, again, Marcus Smart, we just talked about it. He really sets the tone. And I think Al Horford, sometimes I feel like Al Horford and Grant Williams are having a competition to see who can be least effective. And, Horford did have that big block on Bam, that big momentum-changing play against the Heat in the second half. But the reality is you need to get 10 points or more from Al Horford. I mean, this is Game 7. Horford's got to hit a couple of threes. He doesn't have to have a huge contribution, but he's got to have at least 10 points because you can't have those four just be the only good players. And by the way, can we just talk, before we switch out of this, can we talk about how obnoxiously annoying Reggie Miller was announcing Game 6, reminding us every minute and a half that, the Heat are only down 8. It's a surprise because Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Hey, Reggie, Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent are having the games of their lives. Can we talk about that? That may be why they're still in the game.
Reggie Miller's an old head. I don't really listen to what he says.
Oh, I love old head. Wait, I'm not an old head.
You are an old head.
Because I could be an old head.
Whenever we go to the basketball court, Dad, Alex will text me after the basketball court.
Amazing at my 3-point shooting.
He'll go, I love playing with the old heads.
Oh,
I'm sorry, but
I don't want to. What do I have to do to not be called an old head?
you have to develop a one-handed shot.
Well, I can't do that. That's my game.
A better jumper and
No, but is old head an age thing or a style thing or both?
both.
So I could be in great shape and put up great stats, but I'd still be an old head because of my age.
Yeah, like LeBron's an old head.
All right. Well, I don't see. I almost said I wouldn't mind being associated with LeBron, but I immediately stopped myself.
I don't see why you'd say that. I mean, he's the best player to ever play.
Yeah,
the
I don't
game,
want to be
but
associated with the guy who just got swept.
the
I
guy
also-
that got swept.
Yeah.
I don't want to be associated with the guy who didn't make the finals first 8 years of his career. But that's just MJ for you, you know.
I also would like to do something about this hat situation. I feel like this is bad luck for Game 7. I feel like we're getting a little too cocky.
No. Wait. That's a fair point. Can I defend it?
Yes.
This is not me assuming the Celtics are going to win Game 7. This is me trying to put Celtics near the Nuggets to pick up the Nugget juju. That's all this is. This is not an
Okay.
assumption.
Okay.
No more than that.
I feel like we need to clarify that because
I mean, if it makes you feel better, I can just go like this. So,
The Nuggets are currently on top of the Celtics.
well, they might be.
A pause.
But actually, can we talk about that? Can we talk about that for a minute? If the Celtics match up with the Nuggets, who do you guys favor and why?
Oh, C's for sure. It's got to be the C's. After a 3-0 comeback, let's
Just because of the momentum?
Yeah, let's be serious here. Like they're gonna roll over them in 5-6 games. Like the Celtics aren't gonna lose all their momentum. The Heat have a great team. I mean, besides the Jokic and Butler offset, I mean,
Well, you didn't just say Jokic and Butler offset, did you? Jokic isn't going to go in the tank like Jimmy Butler has the last 3 games.
he hasn't gone in the tank the last 3
Been
games.
terrible.
Oh, he hasn't.
Yeah.
Not game 4 and 5. He was fine.
He wasn't. He shot the ball really poorly. Look it up.
He shot poorly, but he still made.
Jokic has been way better.
Jokic is great. Jokic is great, but playoff Jimmy and Jokic offset.
I feel like the Celtics are gonna have more of a struggle than you think because if you really think about it, you think about the matchups. Aaron Gordon's gonna be on Tatum most likely. Aaron Gordon's probably their best defender.
He's not a very good defender.
Yes, he is.
He's a good defender when he's guarding guys like who was he guarding during the Lakers series? He wasn't guarding LeBron. He was guarding and he wasn't guarding AD. Who was he guarding? Who was I thinking of? Rui. He was guarding Rui the entire series, and Rui had a solid series. So I all I'm saying is that I don't want the Nuggets defense to be inflated.
Tim, this is an opportunity right here for us to bring you into one of our best podcasts we did about hyphenated names. And this brings up one of my favorite all-time players, KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who we're going to see, hopefully. Tim, can you think of your favorite hyphenated name player in sports besides Kentavious Caldwell-Pope? Cole, don't be looking up hyphenated guys. I can see it over there. Do not. Cole, your sports knowledge, you should not be having to do that. Tim, hyphenated names.
I'm trying to think here. I gotta reach into the bag.
Let me give you a few right here. Michael Carter Williams.
I was gonna say that played for the Clippers rookie year.
Michael Kidd Gilchrist.
Let me think.
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
I just gave you him.
Okay.
You can't bring him up. Tim, you got to come up
Do
with
they have
one.
to
We're
be-
not switching topics.
do they have
until
to
you
be
come up with-
basketball?
No, they don't have to be basketball.
Le'Veon Bell. No, he's not hyphenated.
No, that's the edition we did with the.
Oh yeah,
apostrophes.
we did a different edition.
Yeah, that was a different one.
Jackson Smith Najigba.
Is it Najigba or Nigba? No, is it Najigba?
Whoa.
It's Najigba. Please
How do you
spell
spell it?
Njigba.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yep,
But that was a good one.
that was a good one.
Tim, come on.
I'm trying.
All right, I'm going to give you one. Cool, I'm going to pull this one. We did not include this one. Bryant Nugent Hopkins.
Oh my God.
That's a good one, Cole. Come on,
That is
Bryant
gonna-
Nugent Hopkins.
Oliver Ekman Larson.
Oh, wow, that's a good one.
Who else am I thinking of?
I'm trying to think of
Jennifer Marsh Altman.
No. All right. Anyways, that's a flag.
Carl Anthony Towns.
Oh, wait, you looked that up.
Whoa, hey,
You looked that up?
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, okay.
There we go.
Anthony Davis.
All right.
For
All right, listen. All I'm going to say,
LeBron,
all I'm
King
going to say
James.
about Celtics Nuggets is, I do like the Celtics with the momentum because I don't think Denver's a great defensive team. So I do like the Celtics, but you know what? I don't know. I wouldn't sleep. I like Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon up front. They've got a good role players. I mean, the Nuggets are a lot deeper than I think we give them credit for.
Michael, no teammates, Porter Jr., the person
right.
who hasn't passed in 4 years.
All right. What other topics? What are we doing here? We're going to talk about your love
I
affair
feel
with
like-
LeBron.
I feel like we should do like a hot topic that the viewers are going to want to
Okay,
hear.
so you pick it.
I think we should collectively pick the topic that
Okay.
we talk about.
I'm interested in talking about.
The shooter, John Morant.
No, I think it's important that we talk about the top. Who's better than LeBron James in today's NBA? We were having a debate about it earlier. We had it a couple weeks ago. I think it's important that we collectively come together.
Okay, Nikola Jokic.
Okay, one.
Luka Doncic.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about Luka right
No,
now.
I don't agree. Dude, all Luka can do is score.
I'm not. He may be in the same, as good as. I'm not ready to say he's better.
He's an atrocious defender.
Giannis.
Okay, so
Giannis, absolutely.
Joel
Jokic,
Embiid.
Giannis,
No.
Embiid.
No way.
Tatum.
What is this?
Embiid is not that good. He's not. He's really not. The only reason that the Sixers got to Game 7 was because of James Harden.
Thank you. Why are we cheering for that awful take?
That is a great take. Embiid was horrible in that series. Overrated. It's like how Pascal Siakam was in the Game 7 series. In the
Joel
Toronto
Embiid wasn't awful. He hurt his knee.
He's
in
fine.
the first round. He couldn't play.
He came back Game 1
Let me
or
tell you
Game
something.
2.
Let me tell you something. Joel Embiid is better than LeBron.
No, he's not.
Anthony Davis is better than LeBron.
Yes, he is. I'm sorry, but did Joel Embiid put up a 40?
John Morant is better than LeBron when he's not holding guns.
I agree. Did LeBron? Did Joel
Steph Curry.
Embiid?
Steph Curry is
Joel-
better than LeBron.
Did Joel Embiid put up a 40-point triple double?
No,
I didn't think he did.
I'm not.
I don't think he did. Right?
Listen, LeBron has a much better supporting cast. He doesn't have scrub James Harden who folds like a tent when he gets a little defense from Jaylen Brown.
Sixers have a great
Jaylen
supporting
Brown
cast right
shut
now.
down James Harden. Jaylen Brown, for God's sake.
Okay, the Lakers have 2 players plus maybe Austin Reeves and maybe.
What do you
Rui.
mean maybe Austin Reeves? Austin Reeves is
Austin
good.
Reeves is streaky. Austin Reeves is good. Some
Austin Reeves
games.
was pretty good.
Hachimura.
Hachimura is okay. Hachimura is no better than.
Well, wait a minute. Let's talk about that. You don't think the Lakers have enough good players? Well, they did have Russell Westbrook until LeBron blamed him for all his failures and chased him off the team.
Well, Westbrook-
and then why don't you ask the Lakers if they wish they had Russell Westbrook back against the Nuggets? Because they do.
I don't think they do.
No, they do.
They used him horribly. He was a negative for them.
Well, but that's okay. But that's not Russell Westbrook's problem.
No, Westbrook's still great, but I mean,
I think Shea's better than LeBron.
I do too. Yep. And Shea's a hyphenated name.
Especially now.
Shea can't
he's
even
averaging
lead.
30 a game.
Shea can't even lead his team to the playoffs.
There's
Are you
nobody else on his
joking?
team.
They have Josh Giddey.
Josh Giddey, are you serious?
Josh Giddey's great.
Josh Giddey's worse than Hachimura.
No, he's not.
You're way too giddy about that.
Okay, let's take
Look
a
up
little.
stats.
All right, let's take a little.
Hachimura-
Tim, did Cole just say Josh Giddey is a legitimate number 2 running mate? Did he actually just say that?
I bet you can't name 4 players on the Oklahoma City.
Yeah, go ahead. Name someone else without looking besides Josh Giddey and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Chet Holmgren.
Okay.
That played this season.
Who broke his foot the first minute of the first game?
Okay,
Who
hold
else?
on. The
Are you looking at
Josh Giddey stats average 17 points per game,
That's a number 2 player?
8 rebounds per game,
That's a number 2 player.
and 7 assists per game.
Okay.
That's a number 2 player.
Listen. Josh Giddey is at best on the way to eventually becoming a number 3 player.
No
He's not
way!
even close to a number 2 player.
Name another player on the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Listen, number 2 players. Let's take a look. Embiid, Harden, Tatum, Brown, LeBron,
But tho-
Anthony Davis.
Those are elite number 2s.
Lu-
Those are elite
Luka,
number
Kyrie. Not that.
yeah,
that's
no,
an-
that's a good one.
That's an elite.
Kevin Durant.
But those
And
are
Devin
elite,
Booker.
Those are elite duos.
Paul George and Kawhi.
Fine. Those are elite duos, though.
But you're calling Josh Giddey a number 2. A number 2 is A dominant player, not a Josh Giddey.
He's a number 3.
Josh Giddey doesn't even believe he's a number 2.
He's a number 3.
Can we get Josh Giddey on the podcast? Because if we got Josh Giddey on the podcast right now, he'd be like, guys, I really appreciate the vote of confidence. I'm not really that good.
The only thing the Oklahoma City Thunder have going for them is draft picks.
Chet Holmgren is going to be sick.
Chet Holmgren's going to get hurt every year.
He is. That's very true.
He's built like a stick.
OKC is going to be tremendous. OKC is going to be tremendous in the coming years. Is
Shai Gilgeous is better than
he's not.
LeBron.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No,
look at stats this year.
It doesn't matter.
Kawhi's better than LeBron.
Jalen Green had averaged 22 points a game. That doesn't mean
that's not that good. Gilgeous averaged like 30. What are you talking about?
Yeah, because he's the main option on a bad team.
Yeah, so is Jalen Green. A main option on a bad team.
Wait a minute. First of all, Oklahoma City was one game away from not making the playoffs. They were right there. So let's call that. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a dominant player, regardless of what team. Jalen Green has a lot of skill, but Jalen Green, come on, Houston was one of the worst 3 teams in basketball. They were bad.
They were horrible. They won what did they win? 17 games. But I mean,
he averaged 31.
I really don't care about the stats. Embiid averaged 33.
What do you mean?
You just brought up the stats.
Yeah, you can't use it both ways. You rag on people like with Brogdon and Embiid. You're like, well, whatever. They had a bad playoffs, but they had great stats.
I really don't care about his points. Like, whatever.
What do you care about?
There's plenty of players in the NBA who can score. I care about his rebounds and his assists and his defensive stats.
He had 35-5.
Whatever. That's
whatever.
He's a point guard. That's what he should be doing. He should have more than 5 assists a game.
That's
pathetic.
You've got LeBron goggles on.
No, LeBron's great. LeBron is the best player
at getting swept.
Okay. LeBron is.
You mean LaFlop?
That's fair.
His name is LaFlop.
I think he's living in 2016 after the Instagram reel he sent me, and after all this talk he's doing about LeBron. I still think he's
I
in
will
2016.
entertain this conversation if you refer to him as LaFlop the rest of the show.
Fine, that's fair.
Will you do that?
Yes, but
Okay.
I wouldn't agree that either Embiid or Shai.
No, they are. Kawhi.
No.
Yep.
No.
When Kawhi's healthy, he's still dominant.
Yeah, but he's not better than LeBron.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Yep.
No, he is
LeBron
not.
was one of the worst 3-point shooters in the NBA this year. You do realize that?
Yeah, but he still got his team to the Eastern Conference Finals.
No, Anthony Davis got it. The Lakers made their huge comeback when LeBron had his foot injury all that time. That's when the Lakers brought their comeback.
But LeBron also took his team to the playoffs. He took his team from 2-10 starting. AD was hurt.
So just to be clear, in the playoffs with LeBron James, the Lakers finished 8-9. 8-9. They barely beat Sacramento. Oh, no, that was Golden State.
Golden State's a good team.
No, I'm sorry. They were 8-8, not 8-9. They were 8-8. They played Memphis when Memphis's whole team was hurt.
Ja wasn't hurt.
Ja was hurt. Ja hurt his hand. Remember, he could even barely play. Ja was totally affected in that series. Then they beat Golden State, which I will give them credit. They won in 6. That was legit. And then they got dismantled by Denver. Dismantled. Including blowing a 20-point lead at home in Game 4.
The Lakers struggled. LeBron still showed out in those games.
No, but LaFlop doesn't make his team better.
What do you mean?
LaFlop, you know where LaFlop...
LeBron has 4 championships.
Listen,
Are you kidding me?
You know where LaFlop and Westbrook struggle together? It's because they're both all about the stats. LaFlop loves filling out the stat sheet. How about helping your team win? How about stop slinging threes?
No, LeBron,
How about ending your streak of missed 3-pointers in the
you
fourth
have
quarter?
LeBron goggles on.
I have an interesting
LaFlop.
Fine.
LeBron, would you rather have, starting right now, would you rather have LeBron or Anthony Edwards?
With age factored in?
Well, that is the age
right
factor
now.
in right now.
Right now.
An Ant.
Yeah.
No.
Going into next season, would you rather have Anthony Edwards or LeBron James?
Okay, but
Because that's what we're
You don't
talking
mean
about
with
here.
age. You don't mean with age. You mean for one season or permanently, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's what you mean.
Yeah, that's so different.
For like, if you're,
If I'm taking him for one
Honestly?
season.
yeah, for like,
But you know.
Oh, LeBron. It's not even close.
But you know what you're discounting? Now, I'm being really serious about LaFlop here. What you're discounting is LeBron's very injury prone at this point. LeBron missed a ton of games this year.
No.
and he's having surgery.
He missed it. Yeah, but he's going to be fine. He missed
Back surgery.
He missed a ton of games because he wanted to miss a ton of games. He could have played if he really wanted to.
You know what shocked me about
He was
the
not
Lakers?
injury prone in the first 10 years of his career.
I would have thought. I was so shocked when I heard LaFlop needed back surgery because if anybody needed back surgery, it should have been Anthony Davis for having to carry LeBron on his back.
That's just a ridiculous take. That's just a ridiculous
seriously.
Take. That's just
I feel like we're spending too much time on your like obsession with LeBron.
LeBron's. You guys sleep on LaFlop. You guys sleep on the flop.
I feel like we should move on from LaFlop.
All right, what's your idea?
I don't know. I'm just going with the flow here. I just don't want to talk about LaFlop anymore.
Well, okay.
I think we should talk about the shooter, John Morant.
What about him?
What we think's gonna happen.
I don't.
No,
really care
I'll
about
tell
him.
you what I want to talk about. All kidding aside, I'll tell you what I'm talking. I was thinking about this the other day. I want to talk about if Kobe Bryant was still alive. No. This isn't going to be sarcastic. If Kobe Bryant was still alive, what would he have been saying about Jason? Jason Tatum, worshipped Kobe Bryant. I mean, absolutely worshipped him. Had his headbands.
He's about to lead his team back from a 3-0 deficit.
No. Well, wait a minute. Jason Tatum's playoffs has been extremely up and down. So when you look at all the bad games, and when you look at Jason Tatum, frankly, his lack of consistent effort, honestly, what do you think Kobe would be saying right now? I'm serious. I think Kobe would be disgusted.
I think he'd be better. I think Tatum would be better than he is now if Kobe was still alive.
So do I. That's my point. I totally agree. But I think Kobe would be turning in his grave.
I don't agree with that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Kobe worked so hard. Kobe never let up. Ever.
But about Tatum's game, I don't really think that really.
Tatum's a super. Why would he?
Because Tatum doesn't play hard all the time. Tatum's come in his body language and his leadership skills. Very questionable for Tatum.
I mean,
it's not like Kobe ever said he worshipped Tatum, though. It's not like.
All I'm saying about Kobe is, he won his championships with Shaq. He had the.
No,
best.
he won one without Shaq. He won 2 without Shaq.
We don't need to downgrade Cody here. Kobe.
No, he won 2 without Shaq. Remember in 09 and
Oh yeah, no, you're right. He did.
10.
He did have a couple without Shaq.
09 and 10. He was with the Llama.
Pau Gasol was really good back then. That's
The
true.
Llama.
But I mean, if I was playing with the best center of all time, I could win a championship too. Come on, let's be serious here. Shaq was the most is the most dominant player of all time. He was unstoppable. There's no one that if he got the ball in the post, you knew he was scoring.
Shaquille O'Neal is the most dominant player of all time.
He's not the best player of all time, but he is the most single dominant player. He dominated the game whenever he was in. There was no way to stop him.
Yeah, I can't even get into that.
The only way to stop him was hack a Shaq. That's literally the only way.
Because he was a horrible foul shooter, so it couldn't have been that dominant if you could throw him at the line. He's shooting 50%.
No, but dominant meaning he's the most unstoppable player.
Have you seen Luke Cornett play?
I'm sorry, you're right. Cornette's better.
Tim, what do you got for us?
Let
What other basketball gems would you like to add?
me think here. Do we think now that all this is happening and we're basically getting a rematch, do we think that the bubble was still a joke? Or do we think that was legit?
Well, I don't know why people are saying the bubble was a joke.
It's still
to begin with.
basketball.
Right. I will just say the only comment I have about the bubble, Tim, is when LeFlop points to the adversity they overcame to win the championship in the bubble. I'm like, what adversity? I would argue that was the easiest championship to win, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because there was no temptation of distractions. There was nothing. You were stuck there. You couldn't leave. You couldn't go party. You couldn't do anything. You had to singularly be focused on basketball. 0 distractions. So I'm sorry. I think that was the easiest championship to win.
I don't agree because
I disagree.
What?
You didn't have your family in the bubble. He had his wife in the bubble. That's it. He didn't have his kids.
Do we have a tissue around?
No, I just want to say, I think what he means by adversity is what was going on in that time and what they were trying to put the message out to the world and with the voice they had. I feel like that's what he meant by adversity. All that stuff that went on there
You're
about
selling it a little short.
No, I'm not.
Black Lives Matter and all
You're selling
that
it a little
stuff.
short.
But there's no adversity around that. That's it. If anything,
so
that's
much
uplifting. That's uplifting.
No, it's not. If you're a black basketball player and you're dealing with all of that while not being able to see your
Dealing
family
with all of
while
what?
COVID,
What dealing with all of what?
The
the racial discrimination in the country that was going
The
on.
racial
during that-
discrimination is still going on today.
Okay, but there was
it's not
there,
over.
there were no event. There were no events like George Floyd. It wasn't as prominent. It isn't as prominent now as it
But
was
that's
during
not
that time.
unique to the Lakers. Every team in the bubble experienced that.
And that makes it a more difficult championship to win.
There's no way. There is so
Come on
much.
with that. You're being
No. I'm saying it is so hard to stay focused with distractions, with family and travel and all the things that go. There was none of that. It was the easiest road. You didn't have to travel. You didn't have family distractions. You didn't have social and partying distractions and all the things that go with it. The George Floyd point, I'll give you that. Yes, that was an unusual element, I will give you. But in the grand scheme of things, compared to what players have to deal with in a normal playoff run, it's like night and day. No travel. That alone makes it incredibly easier.
You can't speak to it until you've been through it. And I'm giving them.
Have you been through it?
No, but I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Like, it wasn't an easy championship to win. You can't say it's easy to win until you've been through it. I really don't think that's fair to the players.
I didn't say it was easy to win. I said LeBron makes it seem like they had to overcome so much adversity, and I don't feel like whatever additional adversity because of George Floyd was more than offset by the ability to be singularly focused and have no travel. Honestly. Go ahead, Timothy Michael.
I feel like you're putting a little too much emphasis on like the travel part of it. I feel like that's like the players. You're flying on a charter plane. I feel like that's not really a huge like part of it. Like I feel like the biggest part of it, not seeing your family, being out of routine, not like being in a comfortable space. You don't have home fans. You don't have away fans. You don't have that intensity.
Right,
like,
so everything's neutral.
Yeah, but I
That's
feel like
exactly right.
That's not a good
think
thing.
that makes it more difficult.
No, if you don't have road games, so you don't have to deal with all that
But you
adversity.
don't have home games.
If you're playing a basketball game and there's nobody but the players on the court, and there's like, well, not that we really deal with anything like fans, but like.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. When you're playing pickup ball, what's harder to play, in an empty gym or with a bunch of fans screaming at you? What's harder?
It depends who the fans are rooting for.
But that's my point. It was neutral. You never had to deal with crazy road fans. Yes, you didn't have your home fans.
But that's part of basketball.
That is part of basketball.
But I know, but you didn't have to deal with it though.
But sometimes, if I want to deal with a home crowd, but I deal with the home crowd to have to deal with the away crowd. Like I think it's it's a win-win exchange.
Listen, again, I'm not saying they didn't have to deal with some adversity, but I think that there were so many benefits and advantages. Not having to Tim's point, not having your normal routine. I think that's a really valid point. And you also don't have any distractions. And I don't know about you guys, but when I'm doing something and I want to be successful at it, if the only thing I can think about and focus is on basketball, that helps.
But no one had any distractions, and everyone was focused. And so that makes it the hardest championship to win. Because everyone...
Now you're having it both ways.
But I feel like no distractions is also more distraction, because if you don't have anything to think about or anything to do, what are you doing?
They had plenty to do. They were at Disneyland.
Yeah,
Disney
I know,
World.
but like if you're like, there's nothing like there. Whatever.
I think it was I honestly think you're making me realize that it's the hardest championship to win because everyone was so locked in and everyone was so ready to play.
Well, first you're being hypocritical. First you said that with the George Floyd thing but that was equal footing for everybody. But now on the other hand, you're trying to say to help your argument that everybody's on equal footing.
But everyone was having the same exact struggles. But I don't think it's fair to say that it was the easiest championship to win. Because everyone was locked in.
I didn't say. LeBron said it was the hardest championship to win, and I'm saying that's not true.
You called it the easiest championship.
I think there were aspects of it that most teams don't ever have to deal with in a run to the finals.
We can agree to disagree, but
that's the beauty of the right call.
I just think that's. I think if everyone's locked in, it makes it the hardest thing to win. If everyone's focused, how.
If everybody's locked in and focused,
the margin for error goes down so small.
If there's no distractions whatsoever and everybody's focused, you know what happens? The best team wins. It's like what people have been talking about the Celtics Heat in this series. If the Celtics play their best and the Heat play their best, the Celtics will win because they're the better team. Like that's the way. And that's how I felt about the bubble. Yes, everybody was locked in and the cream rose to the top and the Lakers were the best team that year. And by the way, Miami, let's talk about that. Miami was a weak finals opponent that year.
Well, because they upset the Celtics. The Celtics would have given them a run.
But again, that's another thing. You talk about the hardest championship to win. How about the opponent you play in the finals? How about the road to the finals? I mean, look at the road, just 30 seconds here. Look at the road Florida Panthers have gone through in the NHL. That's as hard a road as any team's ever gone to get to the finals. There'll never be a harder road than that. Beating the president, best record in the history of hockey, the number 1-2-4. Come on, that Miami Heat team. That team, come on, that team was a marginal. If
they
you
pushed them to 6.
Well, but that doesn't make Miami good. That means maybe the Lakers, maybe there wasn't a dominant team that year. I'm just saying that if you look at the last 10 finals teams, 12 finals teams, you could argue that Miami team may have been the weakest of any team in the finals the last 5 to 10 years. Think about that.
That's understandable.
Yep.
That's understandable, but I don't think that should take anything away from the Lakers championship. I think if the Lakers had played anyone from the East that year, they would have won. I think the Celtics would have gotten walloped. The Heat got walloped.
I don't think so. I don't think, though. I think the Celtics matched up well.
No one was stopping AD. He was so good that year.
Was AD still
We can go
with
into
them at that
all
point?
what ifs, but like
What?
Was AD was there at that time?
Yeah.
But Kyrie was still with the Celtics at that time?
No, Kyrie was not with the Celtics. Kemba was hurt and Gordon Hayward was
Was that the
hurt.
IT year?
No. Gordon Hayward was out. Kemba was out.
So-
IT year, come on.
Oh,
So
jeez,
it was just basically
Celtics fan here, what's going
it was
on?
just basically Tatum and Brown.
Jeez.
It was Tatum, Brown,
And who was the next best player?
Smart.
Yeah, that would have been a tough one.
Yeah, they weren't going to win.
But either way, I can't call the hardest, as LeBron LaFlop's quote, the hardest championship of all time, beating the Miami Heat. But if you dismiss everything else we've discussed in this conversation, come on. Come on.
But it doesn't matter who they played. They're beating anyone from the East.
But it does matter because the competition wasn't that great. The Eastern Conference wasn't that good.
But
I feel like
You don't think that's a factor when you're calling the hardest championship to ever win, the team you beat, the road to get there? You don't think that should be in consideration for that discussion?
I do, but I also stand by what I said with everyone being locked in. I think that's the hardest. The margin for error goes down so much.
We'll agree to disagree.
I also feel like what Cole said, if you're not in this, like, none of us have experienced it, so we don't really know, like, what went on and what the players had to deal with during that time. So
I agree.
feel like
So I don't think anyone,
Okay,
any three of us
but
can
by
make an
that,
accurate
okay,
take.
but if that's the take, then why do we ever talk about sports? Because we're never going to be, we're not players. Like, so by that line of logic, why even have an opinion? Because you're not a player,
But
so
well,
why
you can
would you
argue
know?
who's better, but you can't argue what
experiences and
adversity they went
emotions they felt
Yeah.
during the bubble.
Well, I can argue based on experience in life about doing things with or without pressure, doing things with or without people screaming and not screaming. I mean, I think I can speak to that whether I'm an NBA player or not. So I don't agree with that. I think that we all can make educated opinions. We're not athletes. We're not professional athletes. We will never 100% be sure what they experienced. That's true. But we're human beings, and we face adversity. We face things in our life. We know what's harder and easier. So I think you can do both. But yeah, factually, no, we can't ever be in their head,
No,
I
I agree.
guess.
Yeah, that's
but I mean,
It's just hard for us to form an accurate opinion if we don't know because that was such a unique.
but so let me ask you
situation.
guys this then.
So
why if you guys are right, why does almost everybody, any NBA experts, when people talk about the NBA, why is there so much discussion of how fraudulent the bubble championship was? Why are people always putting it down? If you guys are so right and there was so much, no one says that. Nobody says that.
Because people like to claim the reason that it was so easy was the crowd.
No, but what started this topic in the first place was the question was the bubble year a fraud? Or was the bubble champion? That's what started this topic. And the reason it's a topic is because most people think it was fraudulent.
I mean,
I think it's fraudulent because it's not being played at home. There's no real fans, and like they feel like that's a fake season, and that's
Yeah,
a fake
well, that's been my point.
championship.
That's been my point.
But I feel like you can say it's a fake championship, but you also don't know. We're
Listen,
saying the same thing,
well,
yeah.
no, I will say one last thing from my perspective. I don't totally disagree with you. I actually disagree with people calling it a fake season. I don't call it a fake season. I call it a season that had unusual challenges and unusual advantages. And so all I was trying to say is that when LeBron calls it such an effort, I don't agree. I think there were things he had to deal with, and I think there were benefits. And at the end of the day, a championship's a championship. Like the bottom line, you can't
they
start
won the championship.
You can't start putting asterisks, because of this and because of that. But I absolutely think it's preposterous to say that championship had more adversity, considering the weak team they played in the finals, considering all the other things I said. At best, it's neutral.
But that's
at
where
best.
but that's where we can't make it. That's where we can't make it a judgment because we don't know his adversity. We don't know what he's referring to. There could have been stuff we don't know what's going on in the bubble. There could have been issues.
No, we do know what he's referring. He's referring to the bubble environment. He said that. We do know what he's not talking about illness in his family.
I feel like we're also dealing with two people who have grown up watching LeBron and liking LeBron and thinking LeBron is a really good player, and then somebody who
No,
feels
that's
like
not true. That's not true.
LaFlop.
I've said I can be neutral with LaFlop. Honestly, LeBron as a physical specimen athlete is the best player to ever play the game. As a physical specimen athlete, he is. He's not the GOAT. He's not the best winner to ever play the game. But as far as athleticism, blending physicality, athletics, and stats, it's indisputable.
he's the best all-around player, I think, the game.
But what are the criteria of the GOAT though? Best all-around player to me isn't just stats. It's not just athleticism. It's the ability to make your teammates better. It's the ability to win. It's the ability not to keep creating new teams to suit yourself to get in championship situations like he's done on 3 separate occasions now, where he's built his teams around. Jordan never did that, ever.
But Jordan
left his team for 2 years.
But not to go to another team. He went to play baseball. That's like apples and oranges.
didn't Jordan never do anything like did he ever win a championship without Scottie Pippen?
Nope.
He only ever played with Scottie Pippen.
He played 8 years before Scottie Pippen got there.
First of all, when Jordan didn't have all these extra sets of teammates. Once Scottie Pippen came there, he had a solid Dennis Rodman as a third player. He had Tony Kukoc was a solid fourth player. But Jordan only had one. Once he started winning, he only had one set of teammates. He didn't get sick of teammates and leave. For instance, when LeBron wasn't winning in Cleveland and he quit and went to Miami because he couldn't win, Jordan, when he didn't win those first 8 years, didn't go, well, I'm going to leave Chicago so I can go form a juggernaut super team. He didn't do that.
But
he stuck it out.
They're different personalities. I don't think that should take away
But
from
you're
the
changing
judgment.
the argument now. You asked the question, and I'm responding to the
What was
question.
the question?
The question was, with Jordan, you said he didn't win without Pippen. And I'm saying he only ever had one set of teammates because he stayed loyal to his team the whole way through. And he didn't try to artificially manufacture championships.
He did play for the Washington Wizards.
But that was towards the end of his career. What about whatever?
That wasn't to win a championship, was it? Because that Wizards team was horrendous. That was so he could keep playing. That was not to win a championship.
The only argument I'll make versus MJ and LeBron is that LeBron had way bigger success when he first came into the league than MJ did. And
One championship?
no, but he made the playoffs most years. He led a horrible team to the championship. That was literally just him.
One time.
I want to see the amount of times he made the playoffs in that.
And they didn't win that.
No.
So he had one championship appearance that he didn't win.
They played
That's
the
what made it better.
Lakers.
Huh?
They played the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq.
Listen, all I'm going to tell you is I've seen them both. You guys haven't. You guys have seen LeBron. You have not seen Jordan play. And I've seen them both. And I can tell you that LeBron, like I said, statistically, dominant physical specimen player. But LeBron turns it on and off. LeBron doesn't play with a killer instinct and an assassin mentality. And whether you guys want to admit it or not, this is not LeBron blinders. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Steph Curry, all three of those guys play with more assassin killer mentality than LeBron's ever played with. LeBron gets in modes where he plays that way, but he doesn't play that way game in and game out. He doesn't.
Well, first of all, LeBron is way more clutch than I think you give him credit for. He has the most clutch time points. He has the most game winners in playoff history.
Steph Curry
He has the
only
most
has
game
like
winners
2
in
buzzer
NBA.
beaters in his career.
He has the most game winners in NBA history. He has the
What's
most
Steph
clutch
Curry's record in the finals?
but it doesn't matter. It does matter to an extent. If that's your criteria for GOAT, then fine. But I don't think it's
Not just the record in the finals. It's the championships themselves.
2 of the championships Curry won were with a.
They were winning before Durant got there.
They won 2 before Durant got there.
Okay.
And then Curry has what, 4?
Who's to say they wouldn't have won without Durant? They were already winning without him.
Wait, no. Curry had 1 before Durant, and then he got 2 with Durant. And
So
then he got one.
Curry is 4,
And
correct?
Durant was the MVP of
So Curry's
the
4 and
finals
1,
he
right?
participated in.
Curry's 4 and 1, right? In the finals.
Yes,
Kobe was 5 and 1. Jordan was 6 and 0.
correct.
LeBron's 4 and 6.
LeBron is 4 and 6.
4 and 6.
Got that.
How could the GOAT be 4 and 6?
That is a good point.
How could the GOAT be 4 and 6? But here's the question, guys. Forget LeBron for a second. Isn't it possible that someone could be the best statistical player but not be the GOAT?
Yes.
Isn't that possible?
Yes.
I don't think it's the case in this
Well,
situation,
But it's possible.
it is possible. I would agree.
I feel like the GOAT also is like, it depends on what you're trying, like you said, is
The criteria.
what you're trying to like depict what the GOAT is. Because you could say like the GOAT of defense, the GOAT of offense. Like there's so many different things. Like Michael Jordan, like you said, was an assassin. And like I didn't like see him play obviously, but like I've seen clips of it. And whenever somebody talked to him, or he would just like use that against them, and he would just like, him and Kobe did that. And
Now, let me ask you guys this. Let's talk about Pat Mahomes versus Tom Brady for a second. Let's say Pat Mahomes, because Pat Mahomes' stats at this stage of his career, I mean, assuming he stays healthy, he's going to have better. If he has the longevity and stays healthy, he's going to have better stats than Tom Brady when it's all done.
Mahomes is not only going to have better stats, he's going to be a better player. And let me explain to you why. Every single year, he's been a starting quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
But let me finish.
Oh, I thought you were saying that. I thought you were just comparing the two. All right, go ahead.
No. I'm saying that Pat Mahomes may have better stats, may have the longevity that Brady had. That's a big if at this point, because Brady played 20 years more. But if Tom Brady finishes with 7 Super Bowls and Pat Mahomes finishes with 4, Tom Brady's the GOAT. It doesn't matter what Pat Mahomes' stats are. Tom Brady's the GOAT.
But that's so different. Super Bowls are way harder to win. In my opinion, Super Bowls are way harder to win. Like it's like you said, it's comparing apples and oranges. You can't compare.
Well, I didn't say on this one it's apples and oranges.
Well, no, but I'm saying that.
So in this case, you think the championships would determine the GOAT?
First of all, I think Mahomes is going to win more like 5 or 6. But
I'm not. But if that happens, it may be a different discussion.
I think if Mahomes wins 5, and Mahomes is a substantially better statistical quarterback with percentages and touchdowns and yardage.
Well, remember now, Brady got to 10, so he was 7-3 in his 10.
He was 7-3.
So Mahomes wins 5. Does he go 5-2 or 5-3? Like, how many Super Bowls does he get to? How many because
he's already gotten to 3.
But to your point, if Super Bowl is harder to win, then the appearances, unlike the finals in the NBA, the appearances getting in a Super Bowl carries more weight than getting in an NBA final.
I would agree.
Okay.
I would 100% agree.
So I'm just saying, you guys think, because I don't like LeBron, I can be neutral. I just told you. I think he's the best statistical player. He's not the GOAT. He's not.
I could buy that.
That's all I'm ever saying.
I guess
that's
all
I'm ever saying.
I could listen to that argument.
Yeah, that's all I'm ever saying.
I could listen to that argument.
And trust me, you guys, if you go ahead, Tim, what are you gonna say?
I just said agreed.
If you guys saw Jordan play, I'm telling you, you know how we said at the beginning of the show, like we're joking around, like if you could take a guy for next year. Would it be LeBron or Kawhi or LeBron for this? I'm telling you, if you put LeBron at his best versus Jordan at his best, you would take Jordan because Jordan couldn't be stopped. Nobody could stop him. And Cole, you and I had this conversation earlier this year, and Tim, tell us if you agree. We said that when Steph Curry gets the ball, you're nervous. If you're going against Steph Curry, would you agree?
Yes.
You're nervous. Jordan gets the ball, you're nervous. Kobe gets the ball, you're nervous. LeBron gets the ball, you're not nervous. You're fearful, but not nervous.
Well, you're not nervous because you're not worried he's going to make an insane cut to the basket or hit
Right.
a crazy shot. But he always does the little thing. He's 4th in assists all time.
But
He's 6th
it's
in
not
rebounds.
the same, though. It's not the same. If LeBron gets the ball, you know when you become nervous? When he drives. Because you know when he puts his head down and goes to the hoop, he's a monster. Like, he's so hard to stop. But when LeBron has the ball on the outside and he goes to shoot, you're like, okay.
So you're saying what categorizes the GOAT is their ability to score, not their ability to create opportunities. So you're saying if you get the ball, I'm scared that he's going to either score or create an opportunity for his teammate.
I'm saying the criteria for the GOAT is if the GOAT has to be every time they have the ball in their hands, you're scared. That, to me, has to be a criteria of the GOAT. I'm not that way with LeBron.
I'm
Come
not.
on.
I'm not always scared that LeBron's going to score, but I'm always scared that he's going to do something that's going to create an opportunity for them to score.
I feel like you're not like LeBron has never been a player that has been scary to like go up against. He's never like he's always flopping. He's always crying about something.
Not in his Miami days, not in his second Cleveland days. Like
Steph Curry cries to the refs, but like Jordan and Kobe, like that stuff never happened. They didn't do that kind of stuff.
And,
Jordan was a little.
And I'll say
questionable to the refs, but
I'll say
okay.
one more thing about LaFlop. The other thing you're talking about is assists, and we've talked about this too. I think LeBron defers way too much. I think there are times in crunch time where LeBron defers where he could be aggressive. And I'll say this much, going back to what Tim said, I'll say this. If LeBron played with the killer instinct that the other guys I said, he would be the GOAT unquestionably. Unquestionably. Because to me, there are so many times where LeBron settles for threes or defers to other players where I'm like, phew. Because if he did drive to the hoop, if he did play with that aggressiveness, and that's the ultimate reason I won't call him the GOAT, because I just don't think he plays with the level of aggressiveness the way those other guys did or do in Steph's case.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to be coming to an agreement at any point.
Well, no, you said with the GOAT. You said.
I just feel like your hate on LeBron is.
I've given you lots of reasons.
You
Not to mention the flopping and crying every minute.
Let's be honest. You have no ability to be neutral on LeBron.
I totally do. I just said. I just did.
Let's be honest. You don't.
No, I do.
There's no way.
I totally do. I just called him the best physical specimen statistical player.
But that's a literal fact.
No, but I'm saying
That's
like
a literal fact.
But I'm saying Kareem was not considered the GOAT when he was the point scoring leader. So look at the difference. Kareem wasn't considered the GOAT.
Well, Kareem didn't really make his teammates better, but
And he was, I don't like Kareem.
why?
I don't know. He just seems annoying.
I support that.
Sure, you do. I mean, Kareem was absurd, but
Hyphenated name.
correct.
That's a big hyphenated
That
name
was
to
not
do.
his real name.
Tim, let me tell you
Lou Alcindor.
Let's all have a final comment on the right call. Tim, I'm going to tell you a quick 30-second story. There used to be a running back on the Dolphins named Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he decided to change his name to Sharman Shah because of the confusion with the Lakers Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And this happened when I was living out in California. So I started calling the Lakers Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Sharman Shah to upset Laker fans and to say the Dolphins running back should be able to keep the name. It was a highlight in my life to torture Laker fans. Okay, Tim, final thought on the right call. Anything about NBA Finals, Celtics Heat tomorrow? What do you think?
Unfortunately, there was an error. Computer. Continue.
I'd like to make 2 comments. Celtics are going to the. Celtics are
I
going.
don't
to
think our host is listening to us.
I'm
right now, Tim.
listening.
Celtics are going to the finals, winning the finals this year, And Anthony Edwards is going to be the MVP next year.
Next year, that quick?
Anthony Edwards is going to be the MVP next year.
Wow. All right, cool. Final thought?
I'd like to say let's all set up our props for the Celtics for Game 7
the hype video?
on Memorial Day.
This is the hype video?
And Dad, before I begin playing the hype video, what is your right call?
I think the Celtics are going to do it. I think it's so hard, not only when you've blown 3 games, but the gut punch loss that the Heat suffered. I think it's hard. If anybody can do it, it's the Heat because of Jimmy Butler, and they're so well coached. But I think the Celts hold on. I think they win, I'm going to say 111-102.
All right. For Mark Altman and Timothy Ferry, that is after 55 minutes and 22 seconds.
That is a serious right call right
That is the right call. Go Celtics.
Is this made for tomorrow?
This has been on at the Garden all season.
Oh, this is the hype video for the starting lineup?
It is. Go Celtics.
That's solid. That's solid. It's a great way to finish the right call right there.
Sure is.
All right. Ooh.
Trying to figure out how to end it.
Current eligible Cadillac lessees get this low mileage lease with